Hello, welcome back. Glad to see you here. So as you know, we're doing a Blender demonstration and I'm going to be explaining quite a few things about composition as well as staying loose and flexible while you're doing your renders. And these concepts are actually quite important. But before I can actually start in on the video, I need to explain a few things about who made these OBJ files that I'll be showing you. Not OBJ files, these builds, sorry. These builds were built by the Aurrora build team, which you can check out their Twitter down in the description after the video. But you can download it on the Minecraft Marketplace on the Bedrock edition. So if you want to download it and actually see these in game yourself, then you can also do that, which I think is quite nice. But you do have to buy it because, you know, it's not my map. I can't just give it to you for free. But let's get into this video. So first off, I'm going to be explaining more about keeping loose because that's the first thing you really see me do is try out a bunch of different files. So you can see me searching through the files and I try a bunch of different ideas and I end up settling on this sci-fi one, which actually didn't look like it was a lot of files, but I went through every file previously. You just don't see it because, yeah, I wasn't recording, which is unfortunate, but you know, whatever. And now I'm just changing up the lights and I'm just getting an idea. That's the whole point of staying loose and flexible, is just to get an idea, a general idea of what you're doing. I changed around the glass material and I actually did that several times. I just went around, changed the glass material, seeing what looks best. Do I need to make it transparent? Do I actually need to make it look like glass? Do I want it to look like a glass block? Do I use the block texture? I'm just going around trying out a bunch of different ideas, which is important. And it's also the same way whenever I start rendering it, I'm going around and I'm trying out a bunch of different positions which I believe will look really good in the end. And you can definitely, tell that. Which you can't really tell that because I didn't really do that a whole lot. But you should be able to sort of tell that that's what I was trying to do. But this is exactly what a photographer does. A photographer, which I do know a few photographers in real life, they take a lot of photos. I mean, they can take 200 photos, probably 500 photos in one session, and they only sell about 25 of them, or they only use about 25 or maybe 50 of them if they if they have a long session. And that's out of like a lot of photos. That's one reason why you see so many, not like USB drives around a photographer's house, is because they keep having to get new ones to be able to store all the information that they have, all the photos. And that's what they do. They keep trying a bunch of different ideas. They try 200 different ideas and then they pick out their favorite 20 photos or their favorite 25 photos, and it takes a long time, sort of like this render here, which you can see it's taking me a while. I set it on a high sample rate. Sorry, I'm going off subject a little bit, just keep in mind it takes a while. But anyways, get back on topic. So a photographer takes a lot of photos, which is sort of important because that's what you should do whenever you're rendering. Take a lot of super quick photos, and then you can pick maybe your favorite 10 or favorite 5 renders and go back and re-render it and make it just look quite a bit better. You can get that basic idea and then you can make it look better once you know what you're doing, which is a great way to get a lot of professional quality renders, because even a blind man will, I'm joking, that's not true. But if you sort of know what you're doing, like me, if you sort of know what you're doing, you can get quite a few nice renders, not professional quality, but you can get quite a few nice renders if you take quite a few ideas and you keep putting them together. Sooner or later, you're going to get a decent or subpar render, which, there's a lot of people that are really good at rendering, so you can't really say it's professional quality. But anyways, so along with that, you can also then take your favorite 5 and then the favorite 5 out of those 20 and then not render those, but edit those and make them look even better. So that's what a lot of photographers will end up doing, which is sort of what you need to do as a render artist. Next thing we need to talk about is composition, which is extremely important because it's how you read a photo. How Blender Guru explains it, which I would recommend watching his video, he explains it beautifully, is that it's like if you bought a book and the book had nonsensical language and everything was put together horribly and there's no You know, you can't tell what you're reading, and it's just jumping from one subject to another, and the pages are out of order, and it's just, you can't even read it because it's all jumbled. That's the exact same way with a render. If you're rendering something, you want people to be able to read it anyway. They're reading it with their eyes. A photo says 1,000 words. As an artist, it's your job to choose those 1,000 words. That's a quote from myself, by the way. Yes, I quoted myself. I am a hipster. I don't know. That's sad. That's what it is. Anyways, yeah. Let's get off that embarrassing subject. So, whenever you're picking it out, sort of like what I'm doing with this windmill right now, is I'm telling you to look at the windmill, which it's not rendered in yet, so that's unfortunate, but it might be. Okay, whatever. So in this windmill, as you can see, I have the light, it's very orange, it's quite bright, and it's paired against the darker blue background, and it's an orange light, and orange and blue are very high in contrast. So that's the first thing you see, is that orange windmill. And sort of your eyes are led back to the other thing in the background, the other tower. And I used several different things. I used, which I accidentally used these things. It was from photography videos. I actually watched the Blender Guru video after I did this, which was such a bad idea. That was such a bad idea. But I should have watched it before I did this. Whatever. I ended up using, contrast and saturation and camera focus to tell you where you should look. And I do the same thing in this one as well. And I accidentally used the rule of thirds as well, which I can't really explain as well as Blender Guru, but the way you structure your stuff, if it's like symmetrical, for example, it gives it a certain feel, and it gives it a way where you're looking at it and your eyes will follow it in a certain way and be able to comprehend what you're doing. Sort of how you put together words, you can put together objects to form a sentence in a picture, which all these things are super important. There's contrast, saturation, camera focus, motion, faces and figures, guiding lines, framing, and geometry, as well as the rule of thirds, golden ratio, pyramid, symmetry, full frame, the different kinds of structure there. And balance, balancing the size and the contrast, and using faces and figures to do the same thing. There's so many different things that you could do to convince people to look where you want them to look. Sort of like this photo right here. I'm almost positive the first thing you see, which I don't know how to do this properly, so I might be wrong, but I hope this is what you're looking at, because that's the point. But you should be looking at that main white tower with the yellow thing on top of it and the orange flower. That should be the first thing you see, is that tower. And maybe the second thing you see is maybe the flower, but let's just say it's a part of the tower. But then the next thing you see will be that walkway, and it'll lead you to that windmill in the background, and then finally to the blue sky, which is quite nice. I hope that's what you're seeing, but if not, oh well, that's what I'm hoping you're seeing. Sorry, I had to cough there. But having this format and having this structure helps your mind to read the photo. You need to have a focal point, a focal element, something that people can focus on. And whenever they focus on that thing, it helps them to see what you want them to look at, because you need to know what you want them to look at. Right now, I know I want you to look at that tower. And it really helps to know what you want them to look at, because if they don't know what to look at, they're not going to look at anything. They're just going to click off the photo. If you don't know what to look at, why look at anything at all? It's like looking at a wall with 1,000 different things, or a city. If you're looking at a city, that's what you're looking at, the city. That's the focal point is the city. But let's say if you have a series of houses that are randomly placed everywhere and they're pretty well similar, you're gonna have a hard time choosing which house to look at. But let's say if you choose a single street and you look at that street and the focal element is that one street, then you're gonna be looking at that street, not an individual house. You do the same thing with a house. There's this layers of depth that you can use. So, you could focus on one house and you could have that one house be the focal element. Or you could do the same thing as I said for a city, or whatever you want, or a country. Have the main focal element wherever you want by focusing on one object. That's a great way to make sure the composition works well. And composition's a weird word because it has 14 different definitions on Google, so good luck Googling that. but I'll give you the definition now so that you can get an idea and maybe try to figure it out. But I would recommend, you know what, never mind, I'm not even going to give you a definition. You're going to have to watch a Blender guru to figure that out. He does an amazing job of this. Please check him out if you want to learn anything about composition. Not, well, anything, but check out other people too. But I would recommend Blender Guru. He does a wonderful job of doing a 3D model artist and not a photographer. So he does have a lot of different points of view that really helps him make his video very nice. It's very educational. I think it's extremely helpful. I would recommend it. I do not know the guy. I'm just saying that because it's helpful. So if you want to check him out and if you want to learn about that, definitely go ahead and do that. Maybe subscribe to his channel, especially if you're into Blender. Really amazing channel. But if you are into Blender, you probably know about him, but you may not know about this video. So have a great, wonderful day, and God bless.